If you really stop and think about it, our lives move in these incredible rhythms. There are those times of just immense creation, right? When ideas are just flowing and everything feels possible. But then there are also these seasons of what feels like complete dissolution, where old ways of being just have to fall away to make room for something new. We have that surge of intense, focused action, and then that deep, almost primal pull toward absolute stillness. It's like we're living inside this constant pulsing dance of shadow and light, expansion and contraction. It's really the very breath of our existence.
So it's only natural to ask, right? When you're in the middle of a struggle, a loss, or just a period of total confusion, it really feels like a battle. It feels like your desire for clarity and light is literally at war with some kind of invading darkness. But what if that feeling, that perception of conflict, is actually a bit of a misunderstanding? What if we're seeing just one small part of a much larger, more beautiful picture? What if these opposites aren't enemies at all? What if they're actually perfect partners in a single, unified, and deeply intelligent dance? A dance that's shaping our entire existence and guiding us toward a wisdom we didn't even know we were looking for. And look, this isn't some far-off abstract philosophy. This is the real, nitty-gritty fabric of our daily lives. Think about that project you were so passionate about, the one that started with this brilliant flash of energy, only to be followed by a period of just frustrating confusion where nothing seemed to click. And then, maybe on a quiet walk, in a moment of just letting it all go, complete stillness, that's when the clarity you were searching for just arrives. It's that profound peace that can come right after a personal storm, or that electric excitement of a new beginning that could only happen after an ending. Our lives are this constant pulsing flow. Well, ancient wisdom traditions, especially in Tantra, they actually offered a profound map for navigating this very flow. They called it the Dasa Mahavidyas, which translates to the 10 great wisdoms. Now, these wisdoms are often personified as 10 powerful goddesses, but it is so important to understand that these aren't meant to be distant deities you just place on a pedestal. It's better to think of them as a sophisticated psychological and energetic framework, a complete map of the 10 fundamental powers that operate within our own consciousness, and really within the universe itself. So, okay, how is this map laid out? Well, it's organized into two distinct but also deeply connected families of consciousness. You've got one group that represents the very principles of being. You could call it the fundamental fabric of reality that's always here. And then the second group, well, that represents the path of transformation. These are the dynamic tools and processes we use to navigate that reality. So if one describes the stage, the other describes the play that unfolds right on it. And here you can see the two families laid out. On one side, we have what you might call the cosmic constants, the very building blocks of our universe: time, word, light, space, and just raw energy. These are the unchanging principles. But on the other side, we have the dynamic processes that we actively work with on our own journey of growth. Our perception, our experience of the void, the incredible power of stillness, the pursuit of knowledge, and finally the blossoming of delight. See? It's a complete system. One family describes what is, and the other describes how we experience and evolve within it. And this is where our understanding gets to go so much deeper. These principles, they aren't just dry scientific ideas. They're living, breathing realities. So time, represented by Kali, isn't just the ticking of a clock. It's the great, dark, creative womb of eternity, the very energy of life itself that births and dissolves everything. Tara, the word, isn't just sound. It's the cosmic creative vibration, that primordial hum from which all forms emerge. Sundari's light is the power of consciousness itself to illuminate and see beauty. Bhuvaneshwari's space is that infinite loving presence that holds all of creation. And Bhairavi's energy, that is that undeniable, magnificent surge of divine glory you feel in a moment of pure passion or power. Now, within this system, there's another way of looking at these energies, and this is one that can be a little more challenging for our modern minds. They're often grouped into what are called benefic, or gentle forms, and terrible, or fierce forms. The gentle goddesses are easy for us to love, right? They're all about light, beauty, knowledge, and delight. But the fierce forms, they're linked to destruction, darkness, and dissolution. You'll often see them depicted with weapons, skulls. Their energy can feel unsettling, maybe even a little frightening. And this really brings us to the heart of what we're exploring here. If these are all aspects of a single, unified divine consciousness, why the need for such a fierce, even terrifying face? Why would wisdom, something we seek for comfort and peace and clarity, why would it ever need to show up in the form that makes us afraid or forces us to confront the very things we'd much rather avoid? You know, the answer to that question reveals the absolute genius of this whole system. It shows us that both forms are not just necessary, they are perfectly complementary. They work together to serve a single, deeply compassionate purpose. One actually can't fully do its job without the other. The core insight is stated so perfectly in the source material. We cannot benefit by knowledge, however, unless ignorance is first removed. That's really it right there. The gentle forms can give us knowledge, beauty, and delight, absolutely. But we can't actually receive those gifts if our cup is already full. Something has to clear the way first. Something has to have the power to break down our illusions, our limiting beliefs, our ego's defenses, and our comfortable ignorance, so that we're empty enough and open enough to receive true wisdom. And this leads us to such a crucial understanding. The so-called terrible goddesses are not evil. They are not malevolent forces trying to harm us. They are the sacred fire. And yeah, fire can be frightening. It can be destructive. But its purpose in this context is to purify. It is the force that burns away what no longer serves us. Old habits, past traumas, false identities, all in order to transform us. Their job is to courageously remove the obstacles standing in the way of our own light. It's a fierce and, yeah, sometimes painful form of grace. Just look at how beautifully this plays out. On one hand, you have the energy of Bhairavi, that raw, untamed, fiery surge of divine force. She is the power to act, to speak your truth, to move forward with unstoppable passion. But what happens if that energy just runs wild, unchecked, burnout, destruction? Well, her perfect counterpart is Baglamukhi, who holds this unique and stunning power to bring all of that motion to a dead stop. She is the wisdom to be still, to paralyze negative forces, both inside and outside, and to find immense power in silence and in non-action. You need both. You need the accelerator and the brake to navigate life wisely. And we see this exact same perfect balance with Bhuvaneshwari and Dhumavati. Bhuvaneshwari is the infinite, manifest space that holds all of creation, the planets, the stars, this room, our own bodies. She's the container for everything we can see and experience. But where does that space even come from? It emerges from Dhumavati, who represents the primordial void, the unmanifest, that great, dark, silent potential that exists before creation can even begin. She is the wisdom we find in letting go, in loss, in the emptiness that has to come before any new birth. One is the form, the other is the formlessness from which all forms arise. They're just two sides of the same coin. So, as we start to see these profound relationships, we can begin to move beyond our mind's simple habit of preferring what's pleasant and being afraid of what's difficult. We can start to appreciate the whole, integrated, and honestly perfect picture of reality. Ultimately, what this map is showing us is that these 10 great powers are not some random collection of separate energies that we can just pick and choose from. No, they are a single, complete, and perfectly interconnected system of consciousness. Every single part, from the most beautiful and radiant to the most fearsome and challenging, is absolutely essential for the whole thing to work with integrity and with wisdom. And maybe the most empowering insight of all is this. These aren't meant to be understood as external powers that we just pray to from a distance. They are innate potentials that exist within our very own consciousness. The power to create space, the power to be utterly still, the brilliant light of new knowledge, and the profound grace of letting things fall apart. All of it resides right here within you as your birthright. So the real transformation this wisdom offers isn't about trying to avoid difficulty. It's a fundamental shift in our perspective. It's about changing our relationship with the challenges life brings. It's about learning to see the purifying fire in our struggles, recognizing the necessary emptiness before a new beginning, and trusting the profound grace in the very things that transform us, especially when it's uncomfortable. It's learning to see the goddess not just in the flower, but in the storm too. So as we close, I just invite you to reflect on this. Look at this map not as some ancient text, but as a mirror to your own inner world. Just consider your life right now in this very moment. Is it the surge of new energy that's calling to you? Or is it the deep wisdom of stillness? Is it the light of new knowledge you need? Or is it the courage to let go and allow the old to be purified first? Which of these sacred energies right now is gently, or perhaps fiercely, asking for your attention?